All right, exploring curved surface engraving with the xTool P2. As you can see here, loads of applications. I wanted to test out all the different, types of things that you could do, all the possibilities. So obviously you can do spoons really well, dishes, bowls. You can do, handles. You can even do tumblers, right? So tumblers without a rotary. Obviously you could buy a rotary or use an existing rotary in here, but even without a rotary, I'm able to get great results here, right? Even small rolling pins and such. The other great feature with the P2 is the riser base. You can add the riser base to get larger items. Say you want to engrave a football, or later in the video, a volleyball, or a larger diameter tumbler, or other items that you might not be able to fit in a typical, more traditional laser. So lots of options here. Use the timestamps down below to skip around if you're looking for something in particular, or just watch all the goodness. But here you have it, exploring curved surface engraving on the xTool P2. So to start off, just want to jump into the software. This won't be a complete process, but in XCS software, obviously you can use Lightburn. You just go ahead and select the curve process. So once you click that, you're going to click curve measure. Now this is where you actually manually are going to move it in the machine. So you can't see it here right now, but what you're trying to do is trying to get the top left corner and you're going to mark it. And then you get to the bottom right corner and mark it. I'm not going to go into all the software here. This is just a quick introduction, but it's really intuitive. It is super intuitive. So here's my piece, I put it in there, and then I measure the top left corner, and then I move it over, measure the bottom right corner, and it's going to pop up a 3D rendering. Now again, there's some other videos out there that go into a lot greater detail on the software. It is intuitive, but then you get a 3D rendering of what it's going to look like for your actual engraving. And it's a little different than the other engraving because you're not directly going into the piece. There are some ways around it. I'll link some other videos if you want some more tips on the software. But that rectangle is that 3D rendering that I saw. I can toggle back and forth to look at it to ensure it's aligned how I want it. But then I just add in my vector, my bitmap, my JPEG, my whatever I want to engrave just like normal. I'm going to go ahead and center it in there. There are some limitations with the curve processing. They don't want it to really make it a super steep angle, so like a deep bowl, a deep dish. And so there's a little bit of limitations, but trial and error, you're going to figure it out in no time, as I did. So I've got my engraving settings, mess around with that, test, hit process, and then just go to the machine and there you go. And so you can see how the laser head is adjusting the height. As it goes back and forth, it just that Z, height adjustment, it's compensating for the different height to get an even burn based on it. As always, you want to test your different settings. There's a lot of great tools online and other forums to help you with test files and whatnot, but you want to test it out yourself. Clean it up. It burns great. The machine's amazing, right? As I've shown in previous videos. As far as clamping, right, you have that riser base down below. I love using these 1, 2, 3 blocks, whether it's the holes or no holes. There's weight to them. They're solid. They're great for so many uses. But here I have a bowl that's on its side, and I can engrave the curved surface. You saw I tested out in the bottom. This is just a test piece, but here I can, engrave pistachios on the side and then an image, and it did a great job. It does so well on this curved surface. It was really intuitive. Obviously, serveware is great. Here are some salad tongs. You can add it in here. Again, I'm using those blocks just to kind of act as clamps to hold it into place. So they're super versatile. So in this situation, right, there's no honeycomb. There's these slats, and I just pull the slats out, and I can adjust the height however I need it. Some finagling. Here's another one of those 3D rendering on a spoon. You can see the red portion there. That's just too steep of an angle. That was the handle of a spoon. Obviously, I didn't want to carve that. For repeatable projects like these spoons right here, I made a little kind of a jig of sorts, just cut out kind of a print for it to go so I didn't have to repeat it over and over again. And so that is possible for kind of batch production with the curved surfacing. That is an option. All right, here we go with the tumblers, engraving tumblers. I haven't done any engraving before. I don't have a rotary, so I'm just trying it out here. Here, Legos. This is actually Duplos. They work as great little clamps. But you know, as far as my first run, it worked pretty well, right? Obviously, there's a lot of settings that you're gonna have to adjust, and different materials are gonna adjust differently. But just whipped out some quick ones here. So just some quick test runs on some just, Costco bottles. All right, here I'm making a quick little jig for repeatable, again, those repeatable engravings. This foam is fantastic. I use it for a lot of different things in the shop. It's cheap. Links to all the stuff down below. But here I have some different tumblers and I'm making a jig, right? So I can get repeatability. I can set the measurement for one of these, meaning I've marked that top left corner, that bottom right corner. It's rendered the 3D map. The machine knows the specs. Then I can go ahead and engrave one face, and as long as it's in place, I have my block so it's not going to move around, I could rotate it. And while I can't do a full wrap tumbler, I can engrave one side and then I could do the opposite side. Or I could swap out and do multiple engravings of the same size tumbler with this foam jig. Here's another style where I'm just using the blocks, even have a Duplo piece down below to kind of level it off. I went ahead and made one of those foam jigs holders for this as well, and that worked really well for repeatability. It's not going to be a rotary, but you can get good results. Again, you're just going to have to test it out, trial and error. So you can see here all the ones I tested out. Of all of them, this black style really worked well. I was really happy with the results. I think I ended up going with about 20 power, 30 speed. You are limited on speed when you're doing the curve process, but again, you're gonna have to test it out with your own materials, but pretty good results. All right, my number one tip for getting a great measurement, great results with the curved surface is actually masking, right? So this is great stuff that we use, right, for masking off certain projects for laser, just that medium tack. But the reason why is when I'm taking the measurement with the laser, right, top left corner, bottom right, a lot of the times, right, it needs to reflect. And so I don't know exactly how this all works. It was just trial and error. And I found like darker items like the black, sometimes it was hard to get a measurement to get, that face there. But when I masked it, took the tape, covered it tight, I got much more reflection, and so I got better results. So masked it, set my measurements, then peeled it off, and then went from there engraving. So definitely an option there. But if you're having some difficulties getting a good measurement, try some masking. The other thing is sometimes the depth. You might need to bring it up a little bit higher. Maybe it's a little too low on that riser base, so adjust there. But that's some troubleshooting, some tips to get better measurements and get good results for curved surface engraving. So here's an example of that masking on, and the machine is going through and it's doing that 3D rendering and it's reflecting. So I just got better results for that measurement. And then once you're done with the measurement, you just peel it off carefully. Don't let it jostle around. And then it can start engraving because it doesn't need to reflect as much. It knows it's already mapped it out. Okay, yes, a volleyball. So I've marked that top left corner, the bottom right corner. Here you can see the machine going about and it's going back and forth, mapping out that whole 3D rendering. This was just something I thought I would try. With that riser base, you could do something really thick. This was a gift for my nephews, a little engraving on a volleyball. It worked fine. Again, mess around with the settings, low power on the volleyball. Here's just a rubber football. Again, messing around and just seeing what it can do and the possibilities. With these, I went with just, I think, 1 or 2 power and then the max curve process speed of 30. However, be careful with the fumes and all that stuff. Be thinking through what you can and can't engrave. Here we got a rolling pin. So rolling pins, again, just messing around with different things that you can do. Got some decent results here on that rolling pin. So this was just a fun experiment, testing different curved items to see how the results worked with that. So test it out, lots of possibilities here. I know they're going to continue to improve the software and capabilities, but pretty fun. All right, one thing I try and do with videos like these, especially when I'm doing a big batch and a lot of different things, I try and buy different items that are really pretty affordable, easily found. Yes, they're Amazon. Yes, there's an affiliate link down below, but most of these items are listed down below. So if you see something and you want to try it out, you know, using the same settings or thereabouts, good results. Of all of these, the ones I recommend the most, these black ones I loved. They were great. These are really kind of like the Yeti tumbler, you know, like six-ish bucks a piece as opposed to 35 bucks. But I got really good results with these without a rotary. Obviously, if you have a rotary, lots more options. But these ones, lots of other colors. These spoons were great. These spoons were fantastic. Some other ones, some boards, lots of other things, tools, gadgets, gizmos. Check it out down below. Sorry to be salesy, but I found it helpful, and that's where I've learned a lot myself, found from other people, and use their links. So anyway, if interested, check out down below. All right, curved surface engraving on the xTool P2. So if you didn't know, this is my first laser. I've never done any laser work before. I've had this about a month, and it is so intuitive. I'm just blown away by how easy it is to use and just how quick you can get up and going. Again, to those who didn't know, yes, xTool did send me this unit in exchange for video content, but I love it. I've had, you know, about a half dozen other laser companies reach out from time to time, and I just kept holding off because of different features, but this P2 had all the features I was looking for. So while it is a big item and a big expense, you know, if you're doing this for sales, so many possibilities for markets and sales. If you're doing this for a hobby, oh my gosh, there are so many possibilities that I've already explored, both with my family and extended and friends and all that good stuff. So great unit, highly recommend it. But stay tuned to see more video content like this. You can check out Instagram to see more little projects here and there. But if this added any value to you, please consider subscribing to see more laser content, some CNC content, and then a lot of traditional woodworking content. But I am excited about all these cool tools and exploring. But again, there's links down below to all this stuff. If you're interested in the P2, or maybe you want the smaller diode laser, which is fantastic. Can't do curved surface engraving, but it can still do a lot. I can check out those links down below. Again, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.